Oh, right, yeah. Next part of this, the United Nations. I wonder if the EU will come up in this as well, because the EU's run out of Brussels, and was it the Arizona Wilder one or the Cafe O'Brien? I think in both actually they brought up Brussels as being a place of ritual abuse and whatever, and it's also like headquarters of the EU. So I wonder if the EU will come into it as well. But yeah, let's go.
The United Nations was the second prearranged attempt at world government, offered as the solution to future conflicts like World War II. To help prevent the pivotal United States from backing out of the United Nations, as it did with the League of Nations, the UN was to be located on American soil with land graciously donated by John D. Rockefeller Jr. Through its domination of the American
There's actually American land near here. There's American War Memorial site, and it's technically American land. Like it's like a little patch of grass with a memorial thing with lists of American soldiers on it. But yeah, you like step on there. Technically, that's America.
media, the CFR conditioned the United States to accept the increasing role of the UN in the drive for world government. Political Zionism, a tool of the Rothschilds, clearly expressed the desire to create Israel long before World War II. This is documented in the Balfour Declaration of 1917. Arthur James Balfour of the British Foreign Office announced that it was the will of His Majesty's government to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This official policy was given to the World Zionist Federation of Great Britain, headed by Lord Rothschild, over 30 years before Israel was created. James Balfour, a willing tool of the British Freemasonic crown, was awarded many Masonic royal titles for this and other services rendered. Political Zionism used and magnified the anti-Semitism of the Nazi movement to create Israel. As soon as Hitler took power in 1933, many Jews around the world boycotted German goods. The political Zionists in Palestine negotiated a secret deal with the devil. In return for the transfer of 60,000 Jews and $100 million to Palestine, political Zionists would halt the worldwide Jewish-led anti-Nazi boycott that threatened to topple the Hitler regime in its first year. Over 40 million Chinese died in a 25-year period under the dictatorship of Mao Zedong, yet all you probably know is the phrase 6 million Jews. If you question the scope and purpose of the Holocaust,
Yeah, I want to do a video as well of why you can't question the Holocaust. I have to say I've not seen anything that says that it's not real. Well, people say it's not real, but I haven't actually seen anybody provide anything to me that's convinced me the Holocaust didn't happen. However, the people that even question it, there is something to do with Israel. Now, not to do with the Israeli Jewish people that want a country, like that's a separate thing. But there is definitely an elite thing, but definitely between America and Israel. The whole USS Liberty thing is it's crazy. It's still crazy to me that they both covered it up from their own people, basically. Even Dennis Prager in that letter to Candace Owens says, from what I can tell, the USS Liberty was a deliberate attack, and both the Israeli and American government covered it up, and still to this day I have no reason why. Like, and he's Jewish. Um, but yeah, the whole can't question the Holocaust thing. I think, is it because it's used to justify Israel? Is it because it's Jews that everybody cares? Or is it because it actually happened in Europe? It could be that it actually happened on our doorstep where we was, but then other things are too. Other horrific genocides are too, and it doesn't matter. It is very there is a yeah, why you know about that one, that genocide compared to all the others throughout history. But yeah, there definitely there's something between these two. countries, or all the countries really, but
You will be labeled a Holocaust denier. The Holocaust of the Jews has been ground into the public consciousness by the political Zionists who used and inflated its horror to justify their goal. Theodor Herzl's dream was realized when the flag he proposed, based on the Rothschild hexagram, flew over Israel in May 1948.
To this day, I don't know what happened on August 2nd and August 4th, 1964 in the Tonkin Gulf.
The general provided the answer, saying his Navy attacked the Maddox on August 2nd. But on the 4th, nothing happened. There was absolutely nothing, he said. The revelation may be important to historians. They have argued for years that the second incident on August 4th never occurred. But Lyndon Johnson used it to justify air attacks on Vietnam and broaden the scope of the war.
Events afterwards showed that our judgment that we'd been attacked that day was wrong. It didn't happen.
The wars against Asian communism for 30 years were symptoms of a much larger problem. The problem was that the Illuminati financiers were using a new dialectic to control the world. By pitting the capitalist West against the communist East, the world was locked in a state of bipolar tension with little chance of truly breaking free. The arms race between America and Russia was the best symbol of this tension. Russia was given the tools and technology to make the atom bomb by the American establishment in 1944. In spite of this, Russia and America spent over $5 trillion on weapons that would have guaranteed mutually assured destruction many times over. In his closing speech to the nation in January 1961, President Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex.
I heard a thing from an American soldier as well that makes sense as well how they knew to do that. The Russian missiles are like bigger than American missiles, because if the Americans capture Russian missiles, they can't fire them out of their things because they're too narrow. But if the Russians get American missiles, they can fit in there because theirs is bigger, so them things can fit in and fire out. Makes sense to where the Russians knew to make them bigger than the American, because they got it from the Americans.
Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
We didn't listen to him then. We still aren't listening now. The Illuminati financiers planned for the failure of communism. Communism as a system is guaranteed to fail without support. It failed in 1989 through the symbology of the fall of the Berlin Wall. China was busy by this time producing goods for the capitalist West. In 50 years, the planet went from a multipolar world to a bipolar world to a monopolar world. In the meantime, 3 more secret societies emerged to help manage the planet without your awareness or consent. The time to encourage another war would soon be around the corner.
Yeah, Bilderberg.
The Bilderberg Group got its name from the Bilderberg Hotel in Oosterbeek, Holland, the site of the group's first modern meeting. It was founded by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands in 1954, though its practices can be traced back to the Knights Templar. The Bilderberg Group was originally concerned with a regional Europe for the benefit of its members at the expense of national sovereignty. Over time, its scope has broadened to include balanced membership mainly from NATO countries. Many members of the CFR are also members of the Bilderberg Group. Once a year in 5-star hotels between Europe and North America, around 100 influential people gather together to determine the future of the planet for the next 1 or 2 years. The membership and accomplishments of the Bilderberg Group have been impressive. Presidents are chosen by this group. When Queen Beatrix and David Rockefeller get together at a Bilderberg meeting, you are looking at the 2 people on the planet who control the lion's share of the world's oil supply. The 2008 oil price and credit boom and bust were planned events according to leaks from the Bilderberg Group in 2006. The Bilderberg Group also created the European Union. The Club of Rome promotes peace and prosperity, but does so in a way that advances world government at the expense of national sovereignty. It was founded in April 1968 by Aurelio Pecci, a prominent Italian industrialist. Affiliations with the Club of Rome have included members of the Rockefeller family and the CFR. Of all the globalist organizations we have encountered so far, the Club of Rome is the group which is the most heavily involved in the New Age movement.
In searching for a common enemy against whom we can unite, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. In their totality and their interactions, these phenomena do constitute a common threat which must be confronted by everyone together, yeah. But in designating these dangers as the enemy, we fall into the trap, which we have already warned readers about, namely mistaking symptoms for causes. All these dangers are caused by human intervention in natural processes, and it is only through changed attitudes and behavior that they can overcome. The real enemy then is humanity itself. Yeah, ain't that the truth? It's like when they say the whole, stop fossil fuel use, people. It's like if you did that, millions would die. In the first few days, people kept on machines in hospitals, everything would stop. Your fridge won't work, or your food's going to go off. People are going to start starving, people are going to start getting violent. It's like, if you actually got your way and just bang, the whole world stopped using fossil fuels, you'd probably die. You'd be dead, along with all your family and everybody. Like, you're either starved to death, which, if you're lucky, because you'll probably get brutally murdered by the strongest person on your street so they can take all your tin food.
Regardless of its size. This group specializes in promoting neo-feudalism to justify social and economic control. The Trilateral Commission was created in 1973 by David Rockefeller to
Oh
launder
yeah, the
money.
recycling.
As more congressmen and informed citizens became aware of the CFR and the Federal Reserve during the 1950s and 60s, global planners realized that they had to be more covert. Their American and European money would have to be sent to Japanese industrialists and Arab oil magnates who would use it to buy up Western businesses and real estate. With this system in place, economic woes in the West resulting from the globalists' control could then be blamed on the Japanese and Arabs. Arab leaders who couldn't agree on anything for centuries suddenly came together to create the OPEC oil embargo of 1973. High gas prices made the Americans flock to Japanese cars. This system of Western, Eastern, and Middle Eastern trade promoted global interdependence and made lots of money. Saddam Hussein became the new target of the Illuminati financiers with the collapse of communism in 1989. White House Special Envoy Donald Rumsfeld met Saddam in December 1983. Rumsfeld gave Saddam the gas he used to kill thousands of his own people, but that didn't matter to the elite. What did matter was that Saddam was pumping too much oil to get rid of his foreign debt. This lowered oil prices by flooding the oil market, angering OPEC nations. It also lowered the value of the US dollar because it was the world's reserve currency and oil is traded in US dollars. Saddam was becoming independent and had to.
Yeah, seeing that just before is the recycling. That's on my recycling bin. Like, and the we don't have the recycling boxes anymore. You just get a bin, but you used to have the boxes. But that's the sign. That's crazy. And the 666. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm never.
Stopped. U.S. Ambassador to Iraq, April Glaspie, met Saddam in July 1990. When Saddam asked the ambassador what the American response would be if he were to invade Kuwait, the ambassador replied, "We have no opinion on the Arab-Arab conflicts, such as your dispute with Kuwait." Saddam bit on the bait and invaded Kuwait 1 month later. Operation Desert Storm followed in 5 months in January 1991. Saddam's army was destroyed in 5 weeks.
Hold on.
Wow.
If I don't photograph this, people like my mum will think that war is what they see on TV. It shows you as well how actual quick. Like, think of the UK and America combined. You could have wiped out the whole of the Middle East just with the special forces, using Delta Force, Navy SEALs, SBS, and SAS. Between them, you could have ran through the whole Middle East, but they didn't. Right? They just prolonged it and prolonged it. It's like they said about Vietnam, the war's not meant to end. Although we're going to have to go into the whole. I didn't know the previous thing as to what. I know things about the Vietnam War, but actually, I'd never heard of why it kicked off.
While I was there, I saw the Iraqi soldiers come into the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators, and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Was actually. Was in the room with Nurse Naria as she gave her testimony, appearing as if she were alone. Her testimony was coached by Hill and Knowlton, a PR firm hired by the Bush administration. Hill and Knowlton fabricated the babies ripped out of incubator story on a scientific basis for maximum emotional impact. It worked. Most of the news reports showing Gulf War were faked or managed.
All right, we are now led to understand that there are also firings in another city in Saudi Arabia. CNN's Carl Rochelle is here with me, just came up. Carl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked almost straight above us. There is a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion, a cloud. I'd say... My apologies for that. He's putting on a gas mask. There hasn't been any gas dropped here that we could tell. You smell anything? No. You may smell some of the fumes from a missile exhaust going off.
Je suis un journaliste américain. Oh, I love this country so much. You guys just don't have a clue. This is a Scud. You can tell it by its distinctive label. Now, when the missile is launched, the first thing you look for is the plume sticking out behind it. Now, when you detect this, you can tell it's been launched. Thank you.
Have you sniffed any rocket fumes lately? You got a gas mask around, bud?
Oh, I get it. Oh, I see. That's good. And
yeah, I thought it was.
They took the babies out of the incubators. They took the babies out of the incubators. Took the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
And they had kids in incubators, and they were thrown out of the incubators so that Kuwait could be systematically dismantled.
It's a proud day for America, and by God, we've kicked Vietnam syndrome once and for all. Thank you very, very much.
Saddam's baited invasion meant that the nation of Iraq and its rich oil reserves could be held indefinitely as ransom by the globalists from 1991 onwards. But this was not enough for the elite. George Herbert Walker Bush, member of Bohemian Grove and Skull and Bones, whose father helped finance the Nazis, signaled the intention of the Illuminati. His New World Order speech to Congress was given on September 11th, 1990, exactly 11 years before another staged event.
The crisis in the Persian Gulf, as grave as it is, also offers a rare opportunity to move toward an historic period of cooperation. Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge.
Always with the New World Order. What time are we at? Go on, we'll do this chapter.
People are still bewildered by what happened on September 11th, 2001. This brief study cross-examines the mechanics, the men involved, and the motives for what happened on that day. Most people assume that Flight 93 was crashed by its passengers after they overtook the terrorists who controlled it. After all, it left a scar in the earth. Here's the problem. According to a USGS aerial survey, that scar existed in 1994 or earlier. At this point, we have two choices. We can choose to believe that a full-sized airliner being fought over can crash into topsoil in precise alignment with a pre-existing scar, leaving that scar relatively intact. We can also choose to believe that only part of the plane landed within that scar. The first option would violate the patterns of hundreds of airplane crashes over decades. The second option forces us to ask whether pieces of the plane were found in other locations. Indeed, this is the case. Small pieces of the plane were spread out over a debris field several miles long. This forces us to ask how the plane disintegrated. According to retired Colonel Don DeGrand-Pré, it was shot down by a member of the Air Force. We have since learned the probable name of the pilot who eliminated Flight 93. Lieutenant Colonel Rick Gibney was the only pilot in the United States Air Force to be given an award in secret for his actions on a special mission on 9/11. Most people assume that Flight 77 struck the Pentagon with no warning by a crack pilot. In recorded testimony before the 9/11 Commission, then Transportation Secretary Norman Mineta recalled what he witnessed in the Presidential Command Center below the White House.
During the time that the airplane coming in to the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the Vice President, the plane is 50 miles out. The plane is 30 miles out. And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the Vice President, do the orders still stand? And the Vice President turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?
This testimony proves that the Vice President was aware that something was approaching the Pentagon. Hani Hannour is alleged to have hijacked Flight 77 and flown it into the Pentagon. Here's the problem. The flight parameters for Flight 77, obtained under the Freedom of Information Act from the National Transportation Safety Board, indicate that the flight deck door remained closed once the plane was in flight. The mid-air hijacking of Flight 77 could not have taken place if the cockpit door never opened. One of the popular myths of 9/11 is that the Twin Towers were towering infernos. If that's true, then people wouldn't have been told to return to work in the South Tower.
In the neighboring South Tower, people are also evacuating, but an announcement over the PA system tells workers their building is secure and they can return to their desks, an announcement that will soon have tragic consequences.
If the towers were towering infernos, then the Battalion 7 chief would have never been able to make it to the 78th floor and say,
We got two isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with two lines. Where you know that? 78th floor, numerous 1045 code lines.
If the tower fires were melting steel columns, then Edna Sintron wouldn't have been able to wave from the plane impact zone with her light pants not even singed. The collapse of Building 7 forces us to consider other possibilities for the collapse of the Twin Towers. Here's the problem. Building 7 was not hit by a plane and not splashed with burning jet fuel, yet at 5:20 p.m. on September 11th, Building 7 fell exactly like the Twin Towers did.
And there's a report on the BBC, if people probably seen it, where the BBC reported on it before it happened. Like the building's literally still standing. You can see it behind them. And they're reporting that the tower's been hit. 7 is the one. Although, yeah, I actually have never looked really into the Pentagon one's mad, but the other one that got shot down, that's something I've not really thought about either. Because you got these.
For the third time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
The most logical explanation for the building collapses on September 11th is the most outrageous, through the use of explosives. All explosives leave residues. A 2009 peer-reviewed scientific paper has been published in the Open Chemical Physics Journal, proving that explosive residues of specialized thermite, which could only have been made in advanced military labs, were found in preserved dust samples from the remains of the buildings. Jet fuel is premium-grade kerosene which cannot melt steel. Thermite is a mixture of iron oxide and aluminum. When ignited, it burns at over 2,500 degrees Celsius to instantly liquefy steel. There is plenty of evidence that thermite was used on that day and that it kept reacting for weeks after the buildings collapsed.
You'd get down below and you'd see molten steel running down the channel rails, like you're in a foundry.
Yeah, like lava.
Like lava.
In addition to thermite, 2 other types of explosives were used to level 3 buildings on 9/11.
The job of the shape charge is to cut steel H-beams.
The way we do this is by cutting the beam at an angle, which, through a series of beams cut at the same angle, will tend to make the building shift over and walk.
Shape charges were used to slice through posts at an angle, not straight across, for a reason.
The 4-1 should have taken a couple of companies that they were leaving back.
Go against another. You hear that?
Keep your eye on that building as they're coming down.
Building is about to blow up. Move it back. You want to call your mother or something?
You gotta get back to here.
We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running. Floor by floor, it started popping out.
It was if they had detonated.
Yeah,
if they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
Based on the evidence, the final roll sequences after pre-weakening with thermite and shape charges was most likely done with nuclear explosives. Don't think of Hiroshima. If the United States Army was loading nuclear shells by hand into howitzers 50 years ago, what do you think is available in the 21st century? The evidence for the use of nuclear explosives on 9/11 is substantial. A government report tried to spin the appearance of the radioactive isotope tritium at ground zero in concentrations dozens of times higher than the surrounding area. Hundreds of cars at ground zero burst into flames from the inside out. This is explained with the characteristic electromagnetic pulse of nuclear explosions overloading the vehicle's electronics, causing the vehicles to ignite. It would be foolish to conclude that aviation-grade kerosene would cause this kind of selective damage while leaving truckloads of loose paper around the site untouched. Toxic fumes produced by fires from the continuously reacting thermite and radiation from the final roll sequences explain why 7 out of 10 people with significant exposure to ground zero are dying from a host of illnesses. If explosives were used to destroy buildings on 9/11, they would have had to be placed in the buildings. This is made easier when there was an unprecedented power down in the World Trade Center complex for alleged electronic upgrades on the weekend before September 11th, 2001. Is it just a coincidence that the president's brother, Marvin Bush, was on the board of directors for the firm providing security at the World Trade Center? Is it also a coincidence that the firm's contract with the World Trade Center ended on September 10th, 2001?
Yeah. To be fair, some things from that I know, because that was the one for me. I mean, when it first happened, I was too young to get the significance of it, but it probably is the event that later on kind of changed my view of the world, basically, was 9/11. That's the first thing that really started to like watching documentaries on it. But even in, like, I've seen a lot, but there's some things he pulled there, like, yeah, that's the thing with the the cut. I mean, in a way as well, humans are genius. For who would think of that, to bring down a building like that, and like you said, make it kind of walk itself down almost. But I think humans come up with that to be able to remove a building while it was surrounded by, yeah, genius. But yeah, the cut thing. Also, I heard that there was work being done on the elevator shafts the 2 weeks leading up to 9/11, and yeah, that's the way you drop a building like that, is through the elevator shafts. But I don't know. But yeah, he did have some things about 9/11 that I'd not heard, and yeah, the whole other plane, that plane that got shot down, no one really ever talks about that, because obviously that was the one that really didn't do any damage, so it just gets forgotten about. I've never really watched anything on that plane, and yeah. But yeah, that's this part, sweet.